Hi, this is Matt Miller from Ditch That Textbook, and today we're going to be talking about ways to engage students in the classroom by really empowering them and bringing out their inner superheroes, sort of. Yeah, superheroes are pretty cool. Wouldn't you guys agree to my guests that are with me today? What do you guys think?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So today we've got with us Lourds Lane and Nili Bartley. And Lourds, could you give us just a real quick introduction? Let us know who you are.
Sure. My name is Lourds Lane. I am the founder and the creator of the curriculum of the SuperYou FUNdation, and it's a foundation because it is. And it's all about getting a visceral connection to your most empowered superhero selves. It's impacting thousands of youth globally. And I am thrilled to be here. And actually, Nili's class also took the SuperYou curriculum. And Nili, you can jump in now too.
Well, I just, to be completely honest,
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it in 11 years of teaching, and it has completely blown me away. It's blown my students away. I've never seen something so transformative. We jumped on learning like pirates, and I jumped on teaching like a pirate, and that was sort of the foundation to try new things and take risks. And when SuperYou came along, we didn't just get SuperYou, we got Lourds along with it, and we just feel, lucky is not even a word to describe it. So incredibly fortunate because it is a truly life-changing curriculum, and it reaches every single student, which is it's quite magical. And I think that once you experience it even for a minute, you just get hooked.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds like it. And Nili, could you give us the real quick introduction of who you are?
Sure. So, yeah, like you said, my name is Nili Bartley, and I have been teaching for 11 years, so this will be my 12th, 5th grade and 4th grade in Massachusetts. Taught a little bit in Missouri, too, with Beth Huff, which is who I started my career with, which was awesome. And I actually just days ago accepted a new position as a tech integration coach for kindergarten through 3rd grade in the district. So I'm very happy to be, hopefully helping, inspiring, but also learning from other educators in and out of district to use tech as a way to empower. And the SuperYou curriculum definitely embraces that. So I can't wait to spread it like crazy in this new world that I'm in. So.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. All right, and congratulations to you on your new position, and that sounds pretty exciting. So,
thank you. Well, I'm using your book to help me a lot.
woo! All right, that's great.
Yeah.
Love to hear that. All right, very good. So, Lourds, you have 2 minutes in an elevator with a some sort of influencer that really wants to back the SuperYou FUNdation. Can you give them the 2-minute elevator speech on what it is and how it impacts kids?
Sure. Superheroes are everywhere. We see them in the media. There's movies all the time about superheroes. It's completely omnipresent. The SuperYou curriculum redefines what it means to be superheroes. So it's not about bashing and smashing things, and it's not about hurting yourselves or others. It's about getting to know who you are. It's your positive character traits. You explore your fears and obstacles. You explore your wishes. And it's a growth experience that also includes Common Core, which is why it actually is in schools. And it's got a full-on teacher's guide, and it's an exploration that students take with the teachers. And what happens is that students hold each other accountable for the superheroes they choose for themselves, which is completely magical. So when a shy kid chooses to be the superhero illuminator, suddenly his whole personality shifts, and the classroom culture shifts. Similarly, all the bullies, and this is the truth, they don't want to be the bullies. So when the energy of the classroom is really high and everyone's saying each other's positive character traits. Eventually, the bully chooses a lot of times to be the protector superhero, which is unbelievable. And then when that bully is held accountable to be the protector superhero, once again, the school culture shifts. So superintendents have the data which says that violence has decreased, student engagement has increased, student performance has increased, student test scores has increased, because needless to say, when you're the superhero of perseverance or the superhero of tenacity, you're great at math. You're doing well in other subjects. So what ends up happening is that, you know, all the curriculum is asking for is just 2 classes a week to do some superhero action, but then it starts getting infiltrated into the rest of the school culture and the rest of the class culture. And for the schools that take it on as a school, when everyone becomes superheroes and everyone's holding each other accountable for that, and they're superhero of the month, forget it. It just, everything starts shifting, and it's just amazing, the magical growth and expansion. So that's basics.
That's amazing. You're not passionate about this just a little bit, are you, Lourds?
Well, you know what? I forgot to say that I wrote a Broadway-bound musical, and so I wrote the book and the music and lyrics to a musical. It's called Chick 6. And the story is about a female comic book artist who creates these extraordinary superheroines who each are a part of herself. And when she gets dismantled by life and a relationship, her superheroine creations come to life and teach her how to love herself. So the seeds of this curriculum comes from the fact that during our developmental run, I always do service. I always am out there teaching, doing, putting light and positivity in the world. But now that I have the show, on the off days, I went to Harlem. I'm from New York City, and I would teach kids how to find their inner superhero, and it would be on the days off, so Mondays when the show wasn't up, and during the developmental run, and the students in Harlem and the parents and the teachers were just like, this needs to be a thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Great idea, this needs to be a thing. Flash forward 2 years, and now it's a full-on nonprofit, and it's growing way faster than it's just expanding, ridiculous, because it works, you know. And, so pretty much my voice is about standing as your superhero self and knowing that you have the ability to change the world, but you can't feel like you can change the world unless you feel empowered yourselves. That's it. You know,
right.
You feel first, and that's how the thing stops in the schools. You got to feel empowered.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's great. That's exactly what I wanted to hear out of you today. Very good. So Nili, let's switch bases to. I want to hear a little bit about how this looks. We've heard sort of the broad idea behind it, and we're all pumped up about it now. And now I want to hear kind of what this looks like in a classroom. So if you could sort of briefly tell us. You had this curriculum in your classroom, and your kids went through this curriculum. Can you tell us what it looks like, you know, actually wheels on the ground, ready to go?
Yeah, well, and I have to admit, I didn't actually take a look at the curriculum until April vacation, to be completely honest with you. So we didn't go full force until May. And I think if it were part of the foundation at the beginning of the year, it's hard to imagine it being even better, but I think that it would have been even better, and the kids would have been able to embrace it a little bit longer and dive more into each lesson. So we did do the curriculum, but obviously we didn't have as much time had we started in the beginning of the year. But really, you know, what it looks like, take the energy and empowerment that you just got from those 2 or 3 minutes of Lourds talking, right? And you can feel that through the curriculum. And then, you know, she's willing to Skype and connect. She was willing to do that with our class. Then the energy, it just even heightens, and all the kids feel like they know Lourds, and they just want to be a part of this. And so I would say, first and foremost, the energy level is crazy. It's just unbelievable. There is no room for negativity. There just isn't. And if you have one ounce of doubt when you're wanting to take a risk as a student, you know, like she said, it's all about empowerment, and you have a whole team of superhero classmates just right there, ready to encourage you, and the doubt just sort of disappears.
Yeah.
Every lesson was full of engagement. You know, even just taking a look at real-life superheroes, real pictures. There's one slide in the curriculum where kids take a look at, you know, whether it's a dad or a mom or a firefighter, it doesn't matter, and look at their stories and what kind of real life superpowers do they have. And just that one slide alone, went into like a half an hour of conversations, because kids are just so engaged. They see these real people, then all of a sudden it hits them, wait a minute, I'm a real person. I can be a superhero too. The coolest lesson ever, and like, she said, it's really great for teachers to dive into this. I dove right in with them every single day and went through the process and did my SuperYou journal. And I think the most empowering lesson is when you choose your superpower, and you can choose more than one. But this was really a pivotal lesson for students, because they could choose, not only could they choose superpowers that they didn't feel that they had yet, like their wish superpower, they could talk to each other about it. So when you say, well, I'm having trouble, I'm not really sure what my superpower should be, what I already have as a positive character trait, or what I want to be, you've got these conversations going like crazy, and all of a sudden you hear kids saying, well, you're really smart, or you know what, you're really good at math, or you're really funny, or you're enthusiastic, or you're brave. It's like my students just came to life, and all of a sudden they felt this like freedom to be people who they never even imagined that they could be. And
Right.
I went through that transformation as well. So I think the identifying superpowers, as well as feeling that just current of like electricity from your classmates right in there in the moment with you, encouraging you, were two of the biggest pieces for me of the curriculum. Then to talk about the writing lessons, the poetry lessons, the artwork that comes with it, the music. It's really it's so expressive for kids. Even when they're not expressing complete happiness every day, it gives them an outlet to be who they are, no matter who that is.
Yes, absolutely. That's
I hope
great.
that answered your question. I kind of went off.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's exactly what I needed to hear. So what it sounds like is that they come in and they kind of pick their superhero traits, and then there are follow-up activities that go with that engage them in writing and in art and in music and all of that. And then in the end, they've had these conversations with their peers and with their class, and it ends up having this sort of transformative effect on them, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Does that sum it up pretty well?
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember too that it's a process. Like, it's a really reflective process. They have to go with it. Kids want, this. They want to come up, I want to come up with my superhero name now, and this is what I am. And if they really sort of take time to notice, I mean, the biggest and most abstract concept, in my opinion, is how does your superpower empower others? Mm-hmm. And that's abstract, especially for young kids. So to kind of take time to observe, well, wait a minute, if I'm kind, how does that affect other people? Well, let's try it out, and let's watch others' reaction, when I am kind. Those kinds of things that get kids to appreciate the process, which is what, as educators, we're trying to do, really appreciate the process that takes place with anything. This curriculum does just that in a really, really big way.
Great.
Now, Nili, tell Matt about the Maya Angelou lesson. And
oh yeah,
remember, that was such an amazing, impactful. When you told me that, I really kind of wanted to weep a little bit, because that's awesome. Do you remember the reaction?
Yeah. Yeah. So we just had a few. It led to probably the best conversation of my career with students after analyzing a Maya Angelou poem and really going into detail of how she felt when she was faced with hateful language, and they were connecting it to history and the civil rights movement, and they came up with what Lourds does in the curriculum is she asks kids to not only read and analyze, but also interpret what they would do in similar situations, and how they would use their superpowers to handle situations that the authors were themselves in. And so one of the final questions is, how would you use your superpower if you were faced with similar words or similar situations? And I had students that, it's very difficult to think of as a 9 and 10-year-old, and they were saying things like, well, my superpower is creativity and the love of nature, and if someone said hateful words to me, I would give them a tree because clearly they're hurting inside. And it was just like, wow. And then another go-to man, and his superpower is resourcefulness, and he's very good with vocabulary. So he said, well, if someone was hurtful to me, I would just use really sophisticated language in my response back to them. Nothing included hate or being angry. It was more trying to understand that the people who in their world really are doing the bullying, right? We could compare that to the poem as well. Are probably hurting inside. And my kids have watched videos before. They've been through an anti-bullying curriculum with a guidance counselor here who's amazing, and they get it. They get it that more often than not, it actually has nothing to do with the victim, but more to do with the person doing the bullying and something going on, inside within them, which is why what this curriculum does with, it's at the empowering youth is at the heart of it, is really, it's going to change people.
Yeah, it sounds like it, absolutely. Okay. Can you guys still hear me okay, by the way? Yeah, okay, good. All right, great. So, all right. Now, we got to do this as a real quick yes or no question so that we can keep moving on to other things. So, for the people who are watching this, and they're hearing all of these ideas and they're thinking, "Oh yeah, this sounds great." But how am I going to be able to do this in my classroom? This curriculum is available for people to.
We're frozen. Uh-oh.
Yeah, am I frozen?
Yes.
Oh, no.
I could hear him.
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
Sorry,
No, I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Okay, let me try that again. Is this curriculum with a sort of a yes or just a quick answer here, and then we can get into this a little bit more in depth later. But this curriculum is available for people to access, right?
SuperYouFUN.org.
Okay, yeah, there we go. And then we can talk about, and they can get it there, and we can talk a little bit more about what that is and what people can get here in just a minute. But before we get to that, Lourds, I wanted to ask you. I can just hear some of the teachers that I've worked with before hearing all this, and they're thinking, oh, this is a bunch of that touchy-feely stuff with the art and the music and the self-expression, and by golly, I've got a whole bunch of curriculum to get through. I've got to get through these math lessons. I've got to get through these English lessons. Give me a quick reason why, or some reasons why this works, and maybe you could even talk about like some of the evidence that you've seen that it works.
Like I said earlier, it edifies all the rest of the classes. Math class gets much more engaging. Science class gets much more engaging. When kids are in their superpower and they remember that they're the superhero of perseverance, suddenly they feel empowered to do all the rest of their work. You remind them of that, and then suddenly they're like, you know what, I can figure this out. I am the superhero of smartness. So everything else becomes that much more engaging and also more fun. There's a lot of, it doesn't really take much to go into this lesson. Everything is really laid out. It's a very, very explicit teacher's guide. It's a really 1, 2, 3 process. You can do this in your advisory period. You can do this, it's literally 2 lessons, maybe a week. But see, some teachers, they're like, you know what, I want to take 3 because the kids enjoy it. So I would say it isn't at all. Most people who take it on, at first they may be like, oh, I don't know, and especially because we're supported by the Department of Education here in New York City. So we're oftentimes coming in from above, and then I'm doing these teacher trainings, and the teacher's like, oh no, another thing. But once they take it on, they're like, you know what, this has really shifted our classroom culture. It's really not a lot. It's easy, it's fun, the teacher takes it on, and it's fun for him or her. And I don't know, Nili, can you add on to that?
Yes. So I totally understand what you're saying, Matt, because I'm 11 years in this world, and it can be very overwhelming. There are a lot of expectations, but I have to agree with Lourds. It's one of those things where they are taking their superpowers and they are using it in everything they do. Everything. I mean, I had kids running to me after a 5K saying, I didn't think I could finish it, but then all of a sudden I was talking to my mom and she was running right next to me and she was like, wait a minute, what are you doing? You're a superhero and you have superpowers. Like, your superpowers create.
Yeah.
So, let's think of a creative way that you can get yourself to finish, or whether it's perseverance, it didn't matter. And it's extended in the classroom too. No matter what they face, I mean, they're writing their superhero name on their math test. It doesn't matter. It's a constant reminder. It doesn't matter what your superpower is. You can use it to help you accomplish anything, and particularly things that you didn't know that you could even do. Kids are constantly now surprising themselves. And the other thing, we do responsive classroom. In terms of that, like we always have a 20-minute morning meeting, and a lot of schools have adopted like that class meeting or that morning meeting, plus you're fitting lessons into writing. But the other cool thing, and not just writing, the other great thing is that it's very much catered to collaborating with specialists. So I worked very closely with our fabulous art teacher who, took on a lot of the artwork with the kids, and it was absolutely unbelievable, and it allowed us to really be a team. Also worked really closely with the music teacher. You can do things within PE. One of the things that I'm constantly thinking about is how can this lend itself to working with other teachers in the school, so that it's not going to take up 3 hours of your day. It's going to take up a little bit of time that you won't regret, because it's going to help build a foundation, not just for the rest of the year, but for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And this sounds a lot like what I hear so many people talking about in school leadership, is that it's this atmosphere and this culture of respect and self-empowerment. I mean, just all of those things. You, as a leader, you want to try to build that for your school so that it permeates in everything, and then when the atmosphere is there, when the groundwork is set, then everything sort of builds on top of it. Does that sound about right?
Yes, indeed. And it's a feeling of collaboration and community. The shift is always from thinking from the perspective of me to the perspective of we, So it's like, yes, you are an empowered superhero, but how are you going to change the world? Like, how does your power empower others? So there will be a superhero that says, I'm a winning superhero, and that's all I want to do. I want to win. And the question is, how does winning help others? And believe it or not, a second grader said, because I'm a role model. Because when I'm a winner, everyone feels like winners too. And so when this kid's walking around, he feels like he's spreading his winning energy everywhere. And it's a really empowering feeling for a 7-year-old to feel, and even 8th graders similarly feel the same way. You know what I mean? So I mean, part of it is difference.
Yeah,
Matt,
absolutely.
I have to say, and I just want to say really, really fast, in a room of 600 people, in 1/2 an hour, we had kids after the performance that Lourds directed. They wrote it, but she directed it, and all that wonderful magic took place. In front of 600 people, kids are running home, like telling their parents about it. I've had parents come up to me that say, my kids don't talk about anything when they come home. I have to like pull teeth to get, and then they're running home saying, oh my gosh, we just watched a superhero performance, like how can we do that? And they're asking their teachers. After 1/2 an hour of kids explaining in a performance what it's all about, you've got all the, over 500 kids feeling empowered just after a 1/2 an hour, wanting to be superheroes too.
Yeah.
So it's very impactful in a very short amount of time.
Yeah. Now, along with that, Nili, didn't your class create a video? Isn't there a video out on YouTube that comes along with all this?
Oh, yes. And it's,
okay.
Lourds can definitely talk more about that, because I didn't have much to do with that. I kind of just, that's, in the post that I read, a lot of it was obviously based on the theme of passing the mic and letting others in, and that's exactly what I did with this video, and it was just such an amazing experience for the kids, and everybody got to be a part of it, and I think it really, it really shows what is at the heart of SuperYou and the magic that it brings. But yeah, it's almost, I'm kind of obsessed, and I'm looking at it all the time, and I told Lourds this morning, I'm like, I think it's going to break 1,000 views by the end of the week, which is unbelievable to us. So.
Awesome, that's cool. And so if we want to be able to see that, I'll have a link to it in the blog post that I'll be doing. But if somebody watches this and they want to be able to find it, is there something we can type in that might lead us to it?
You know what? You can go straight to the homepage of superyoufun.org, and it's right there.
It's
Oh,
right
great.
there. Right? Yeah, it's right there.
Okay,
But
well
I put it on
that's even
Google
easier.
now.
All right, that's great. Okay, so couple of quick things here as we start to wrap this up. Nili and Lourds, I want to kind of, I mean, we've got access to you here, so I want to tap into your brains here and kind of help you affect the educators that might watch this. I was wondering if you could think of, even if they don't do the curriculum, or maybe if there are some things that could be pulled from the curriculum, what are some practical ideas that teachers could use in their classroom, even if they, if they just use maybe one or two of these? What are some concrete examples of things that teachers can do to empower kids or help kids empower themselves?
You want to go first?
Oh, no, you go. You go. I'll go after you.
Okay, Nili, go ahead and start.
Yeah. So, I kind of said before that, obviously to me and to my group of students, the most important thing was discovering your superpowers. And that really helped with our superhero names and just really coming to terms with the fact that we can all be superheroes. I think the I couldn't imagine the curriculum without the art and the writing, but I would say as far as the empowerment piece, those were the series of lessons that is all about becoming a superhero and using those superpowers for everything that you do. Those obviously, I mean, you couldn't do anything else without those pieces. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that was, for my kids, that was hugely important. I think that it's hard because we've done all the other stuff. It's just really, it doesn't feel right to take any of it away. But I would definitely say that made the most lasting impact on my kids.
Okay, and to kind of wrap up with that with you, Nili, even if it doesn't have anything to do with the curriculum, just kind of think about maybe in your own experience, and forgive me if I'm putting you on the spot here too much, and if you can't think of anything, that's okay, but if you just want to give kids, motivate them and help them to kind of do the kind of things we've been talking about in this conversation, just what are some things that teachers can just do in their classrooms?
Can do in their classrooms, maybe. Well, I think there are parts of the curriculum that really are empowering, like a SuperYou wall. So they have like the SuperYou star, and they can do Superhero of the Month, like that kind of thing that is foundational and can become a part of your classroom routine. There are other forms of that. But to be like a superhero of the month, like who doesn't want to be a superhero of the month, instead of saying, student of the month, and student of the month is not a bad thing. But there are just ways that you can kind of use the terminology from the curriculum and make it part of your classroom routine. Because if you do a couple of the lessons and kids really think they're superheroes and they discover superpowers, and then you don't kind of reinforce that throughout the year, it's going to be lost. So those are a couple of things that I think are important. I also think, and I don't want this to be missed, is there is a lot of technology that can be, really incorporated throughout the whole curriculum. And I think that's really exciting for kids. For example, and I'm not saying that Lourds can do this all the time, but we were able to Skype with her several times, and the motivation and level of engagement with that, to know that they were going to get to bring their artwork or whatever it is that they reflected in their SuperYou journals, which is also another piece, just a reflection piece for students, and bring them up to the camera on the computer and show off what they were doing to the founder of the curriculum, and this Broadway star, was just super important. So I think that aspects of that are going to not require, but that would ask students to share, whether it's social media, whether it's Skyping, whether it's creating videos based on their experience. I think that's huge, because we all know as students that motivation really comes when you have the possibility of connecting and of sharing and getting feedback and people noticing what you're doing. The motivation just skyrockets. So I think that's an important piece as well.
Good, very good. And thank you, by the way, for stretching yourself there. I know I kind of put you back on the spot there, and you came up with some really good ideas. That's the kind of stuff that I was really hoping we could get, is what are some actual ideas that teachers could implement tomorrow or could implement at the beginning of their school year, and that was spot on, Nili, so that was great. Okay, Lourds, it's your turn.
Great. I think that the most important thing in the curriculum has to do with positive character traits. Now, here's the thing. when you empower the child, the bullying just stops. And it comes down to kids just feeling good about themselves. And you can go child by child and just say, what are your three best positive character traits? Explain it if they don't know what it is. And what are your three best positive character traits? Now, here's the thing. If the students actually do know each other in the class and they're a little stumped, you can ask somebody sitting next to them and say, hey, what are name a couple of good things about Mary. And they'll be like, she's really smart, she's really nice. And now Mary's eyes light up, and then Mary says a couple of things about Billy. And then when that goes through the room, suddenly the kid who is like troubled, and throws chairs, when it's his turn and people are saying, and this really happened, and they're saying, he's really funny and he's really smart, suddenly he's like, wow, thank you, because sometimes, especially when you're younger, you want that affirmation from others, and then you start reflecting on yourselves, and then...
That may be the only time that he ever hears that, too, right?
Exactly. Right! That's exactly right. And actually, I must tell you this story because the energy of the room was so heightened from this exercise because everyone started to say each other's positive character traits. And there was one kid who had his own paraprofessional. He was a troubled kid. And actually, this class was taught by high school students because we have a high school mentoring program where the high school students learn SuperYou and teach it to the elementary school students. So I was just an observer in this class. But anyway, there's one child who came at the end, and then the high school student said, okay, now tell me about his traits. And he immediately cut everybody off and said, I'm evil. And the reason why is because he always feels like the outcast, and he always feels subjugated. And I'm sure he feels that way in his own home environment. But the students were so heightened by feeling great about everyone talking nice about themselves, and they were just like, he's smart, he's funny, and he just kind of was like, what?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Flash forward to the next day, when he started to be extremely helpful. He was like, during cleanup time, he was actually helping, things like,
wow,
moving the garbage can and doing all these things. So all the students wrote on the SuperYou star that said, you're the superhero of the day, and they handed it to him. So he had like 10 superhero stars, and this kid started beaming. Now, I got this information from the teacher. And then flash forward to his whole personality shifted, and then the culture of the class shifted because he wasn't disrupting the class anymore. He just needed a little love. That's all it took. So just start with the positive character traits. If they're going to be anything, just affirm the child, and that'll help all the subjects.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. Just how that one little activity sparked this change in this kid's life, and then it ends up changing the entire class. I mean, sometimes one strong personality in a classroom can have such effect on the whole rest of it, and then that classroom can potentially go through the entire school, and that's amazing. So so here's what I'm hearing from the two of you so far. Some things that teachers can do in the classroom is help kids discover their superpowers. Do a SuperYou wall, which I think is such a cool idea. A superhero of the month instead of a student of the month. Why not make it a superhero of the month? There's obviously the opportunity to reach out to other classes and through Skype and through technology, and Nili, you guys your class created that video with Lourds, and so I mean that's another option. Share your power with the world through technology, through social media was what I was hearing earlier. Just an activity where kids can get together and name their positive characteristic traits with each other, the positive character traits. And then I even heard let older kids mentor younger kids throughout all of this. So just sort of with those in mind, Lourds, is there anything else that you can think of that teachers could actually do in their classes, some like concrete examples of things they could do in their classes? Anything else you can think of?
I think that it's not a difficult curriculum. I think that you should just go to SuperYouFUN.org, and you'll get lots of ideas. It's really
right.
like I'm in this planet to bring light into the world and to empower youth, and this is my personal mission. So I'm here to do whatever I can to support the teachers, and to I'll always do my best to to throw out more ideas, but really it's all delineated in the curriculum. You can read it and just be like, okay, I got this. It's
Okay.
one curriculum. So and it's all in there. It's all in
Yeah.
there.
Okay, so with that in mind, I'm going to switch my screen over here to that page. There it is right there, the SuperYou FUNdation webpage. And so tell me real quick, what can teachers do to start incorporating this into their class now?
Well, go to Request Curriculum, and then click on that, and then request the curriculum, and then we'll write back, and we'll figure out, that's where you go. And then from there, you'll have some superhero fun in your school, and we'll figure it out.
Okay, wonderful. So if they want to request it, they can just go to this page.
Right.
I just scrolled down a little bit. This is the requester curriculum. They fill their information in and then accept the licensing terms and submit, and then they're able to jump in and get started?
Yeah, I mean, right now our curriculum requests are a little bit bananas. So our board is trying to figure out how we're going to sustain the requests. But you will get a response, and we will stay in touch, and we're going to and yes, you will get the curriculum for sure, but it's just a matter of we need to get a structure for what's going on. Our nonprofit is expanding exponentially, but please send off your request, and we will be in touch with you for sure.
That's awesome. All right, very good.
The video is right on that first page, isn't it? Or did I miss it?
Go to the first page, and you'll see the video.
Okay. I
I
want people to be able to see that, so I'm going to switch back over to my screen real quick and scroll down and tell me, is this it? Yeah, this has got to be it right here. There's the video right there. Okay, it's 4 minutes. It'll be like the highlight 4 minutes of your day if you watch it. So go to superyoufun.org and check out this video, which is so cool. And then there's another video down here. This has the New York City Superintendent of Instruction talking about the positive impact that SuperYou has had in New York City, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So. All right, that is amazing. All right, so I think we've got some concrete ideas. We know where we can go for this curriculum, and I think that we're all super motivated to be able to do this. So, so can the both of you real quick tell us if somebody wants to get in contact with you personally? We've got the SuperYou webpage here. How can people get in touch with you if they want to touch bases with you personally? And we'll start with Lourds.
My Twitter handle is at LOURDS Lane. LOURDS without the E, LANE. And so you can tweet me. You can do that, or you can go to Lourds LOURDS at superyoufun.org.
Perfect. Okay, Nili.
Yes. So Twitter, same thing, and it's the handle is nbartley6. So it's at NBARTLEY 6, the number 6.
Wonderful. All right. So this has been great. So I can't think of a better way to ditch that textbook than to get rid of some of those textbook activities and to actually get kids interacting with each other and maybe even jumping on technology and sharing their superpowers and the superheroes that they are. So thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Our pleasure.
My pleasure as well. Yay!
Thank you so much. It's an honor. Yeah. It's a real honor.
Really,
Thank you.
really.
Thanks.
Thank you.